Okay, number 3, update on Comcast franchise agreement. Town manager, again.
Let me start all over. We've been working with Comcast trying to renew their franchise agreement and pole attachment agreement for quite some time. Here recently we've been engaged with Comcast, and unfortunately they appraised us 2 weeks ago of something critical that we wanted to bring to council's attention, was that they were going to close this customer service center on June 1st. They stated that this was 5 or 6 other locations that they were closing due to business reasons, business decisions is all they stated. I informed the representative that was unacceptable, that the town has always been outright with Comcast that we want this customer service center here in town, that we even actually had it specified in our franchise agreement. And so tonight I want to find out from council how far you want me to push Comcast on this, on keeping this customer service center here in town. Because right now they're taking the stance that it's non-negotiable, but as discussion with Doug, we still have some avenues to pursue. But before we start pressing hard on Comcast, I want to make sure that this council's direction to keep this customer service center open here in Front Royal.
If I understand you properly, then you're saying that they're going to completely vacate the property and turns it back to us.
They're going to close it on June 1st.
Which
right, and they have a lease on that building on a month-to-month basis, so yes.
Discussion.
So, what do you use the building for? Like, what do you use customer service for?
You can go by there anytime. People are standing in line there. People are changing equipment. People are paying bills. That was one thing I tried to tell the gentleman, that in our community we have a lot of people that do business with cash, and we see that here as well. And it would hinder everybody, not just citizens of Front Royal, but citizens of the county. They would have to go all the way to Winchester, or they would have to participate in there's a sheet in here where they said we can do business at a couple 7-Elevens, but it's not the customer service I think that we expect in town for our citizens. So, but for me, I need to know what council's perception is and what they want me to push forward on this.
So if I heard you right, you're saying that we have some leeway with this
There's some potential other options that we can pursue.
which we can't discuss here.
Which we can't discuss.
It's been an issue ever since I've been on council. Every time they tell us they're going to close, and we have a fight on our hands. And I would say push it to the limits. They don't want to deal with us, and tell them to get their cables, move on.
Well, I will state this. We did throw an offer of, asked them if they were interested in selling it to us if they didn't want to provide the customer service we expected. Obviously the response was no. But I wanted to relay that message to them, that we were serious about our commitment to our citizens there.
So I'm okay with arguing to keep it, and I'm not okay with losing Comcast. I think I'd be pretty disappointed in that. But, so,
yeah, I don't think Comcast is not going to leave. They have too much infrastructure here.
Well, I mean, what would you even say? Take your cable and
You
go.
got to take a stance. That's my stance. If they don't
That
want
is
to
a
stay here,
possibility.
then let them move and take their cable with them.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of that. We have a lot of telecommuters here, and it's pretty much the only service that provides the high speed around here. So certainly, whatever we can do to keep it for that, but within reason.
Anyone else?
What's their issue on the pole attachments?
Well, it's not been much of an issue since they've been trying to close this customer service center.
Is there any action we have to do tonight?
No, I just want to get, just wanted to make sure that we're going down the right path here. I mean, obviously, we'll put pressure on them as much as we can, and we'll keep you abreast of where we're at. They obviously are interested in moving quickly on this for a lot of reasons. which is unusual. Sometimes we're having to pull them to the table to negotiate. So they're eager to negotiate. So.
I can see it being difficult. Comcast is restructuring. They're restructuring quite a bit, and almost all their service is done via mail. I mean, from delivering your equipment to picking it up and sending it back. I mean, so I think it's a changing business model. I'm not surprised that they're pushing harder on getting rid of this.
Yeah, and I agree, but I still see a lot of traffic here in this one here, and that's what concerns me.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Joe, can we solicit another provider to come in if they would?
We have talked about, getting a RFP out on the street to see. At the end of the day, it's not non-exclusive. There could be a competitor decide to come in and challenge Comcast.
If they don't want to deal with that, I think we need to send an RFP out and see if we have another provider that can come in and give us the same service at a cheaper price. Because they keep going up that every 3 months.
We can do that as well.
Okay, if I understand what we're talking, give me 1 second. If I understand what we're talking about at this point is for you and the town attorney to push as far as you can with leeways we have. That's your first direction from council. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay.
That
Gary?
That was gonna be my suggestion. Maybe we could possibly shop around to see if we can find another provider and see if they may be cheaper.
I'm very concerned about giving the town manager and our town attorney clear direction exactly what we want to accomplish. So what I'm hearing tonight is the first thing
Well, it's kind of hard because, I mean, I'm not as a criticism, but it's a little bit ambiguous what they're asking. I mean, they're pushing this as far as it can go. I'm not sure if that means that we're going to launch a lawsuit against them or, just keep pushing back. So, I mean, certainly even something within reason, yeah, if we can, whatever we can push.
within his leeways is what I heard the town attorney say. And that's what we would want anyway. Because we're talking about our town citizens here, and we do have a large community that deals in cash. I see that at the bank all the time when I'm in there. Is that the way you read it?
Right, we're not gonna be filing a lawsuit.
Okay. And you're going to keep us fully informed of what occurs. Does that meet everybody's expectations? All right, is that clear?
That's clear.
of libraries, airports, speculative office buildings, which seems to be what IT Federal has put out there now, shopping centers, apartment buildings, professional offices. It doesn't specifically rule out retail, but it definitely does not. That's not what they're looking for. They want job creation. So, again, it's we still have options open. We have another roughly 2.5 years until we absolutely have to make a decision on this. I forgot to mention, in 2C of the resolution, if there's since there wasn't, IT Federal didn't have that capital outlay to begin with, the town had to post a bond for the entire $650,000. So we are now currently carrying that bond, and we have, it costs about $5,000 a year to maintain that bond. So the longer we hold out for something that is, it is costing us to wait and see. But it's, since we've already paid for the first year, and it will come due again in the end of May. So since we're still under construction out there, and we would have to pay back the entire, whatever we gotten from VDOT before we could terminate that bond. I'm assuming that we will go ahead and pay up for another year. But then on a yearly basis, we will definitely need to look at, what the outlook is out there, and what are the chances that we will be able to recover that money. So that's all I have. I will be meeting later this week with the EDA director just to discuss the outlook, what are some of the possibilities, and also they have more, hopefully more direct contact with IT Federal. What is the status of that promise? $150,000. What's our chance of recoup that?
Mr. T. Waltz.
PJ, going back to the bond, were we enlightened with the bond? Because this is the first I've seen this resolution. I mean, according to Jennifer, it was $650,000 came from the state on that, and we weren't even involved in it at that point.
Yes, we were aware of the bond.
I mean, you were aware.
Yes, I believe council was aware as well.
Were we aware? I don't remember.
I'm not 100% for sure there. I could go back and look, but we did have to go out to bid on the bond.
Well, let's go back. I knew we had the bond, but that was based on the $650,000. But Jennifer had told us that they'd already had the funds pretty much allocated through. As I recall, I thought it was under the Transportation Board. I thought it was under the Industrial Development Authority of the state. That's what she told me as I talked to her about that a couple times.
No, it's through
But I specifically asked her, I said, now, is this a state funding, or is it going to be through the industrial development bond issues? And she said, oh, no, it was strictly the bonds that came from the community development, economic development bonds.
Well, it is an economic development access grant. That is what the $650,000 is, but it is through VDOT.
Yeah, so it came through the Transportation Board committee.
Correct.
The action that you're asking for tonight, is this just for information? Because I see a lot of questions here myself.
It is just for information as we move forward, talking about reallocation of the West Connector. We want you to be aware of that little, about this liability out here, this risk of us having to pay this back.
Payback of $650,000.
Yeah. As well as we move forward, carrying that bond of $5,000 a year to hopefully maybe something will transpire in 2021 at that site. Now, as Robert said, he's going to be meeting with John Ampazino this week, and hopefully I'm going to join him on that meeting, and hopefully the EDA can step up. As far as I'm concerned, they need to step up on this. So right now, it's just information purposes. I wanted everybody to be aware of this issue out there with this grant.
So when is this next 5,000 K needed? $5,000?
May.
May?
Yeah.
So that 5,000 will come out of that 40 that we're. No, I'm
Well,
sorry.
5 is probably covered for this year.
Comes, 90.
PJ? Or no? No? Okay.
Where are you taking it from?
We're gonna be over budget on that.
Question, discussion? I mean, that concerns me right there. It's $5,000.
Yeah, the 5,000 doesn't concern me, it's the 650,000.
I'm just talking about immediate. I know that 650 really worries me. So just info.
It is
no
just
action.
info. I didn't want this to be a surprise later on when we have to come and ask for $650,000. But like I said, hopefully we'll have some more information after we meet with John Ampazino. Like I said, I do believe that they have a stake in this, you know, that they've left us holding the bag here. And so I'm hoping that we can have some better news after that meeting.
Okay, any other discussion?
Thanks, sir. Joe, do you know whether or not that the EDA, did they have any insurance of this type of, whatever you want to call it, embezzlement or fraud or whatever you want to refer to?
That's a good question, Gene. I really haven't talked specifically with John on this, and hopefully when we meet about this access grant, I can get some more information, but he's pretty tight-lipped about what's going on over there.
I would appreciate if you'd at least
Yep,
say something about it.
I will. I sure will.
That's a valid action item to carry forward to this meeting.
Right, I understand.
Mr. Gillespie.
Would there be any chance of us being able to recoup this?
That would be hopefully something we would be looking forward to recoup.
Yes.
It would be a loss that probably we're gonna suffer somewhat.
Yes. That's the only question I had. Thank you, Doug.
One other thing I did forget to mention, this is kind of looking ahead, but there is a repayment plan, which we wouldn't necessarily, at the end of 2021, we wouldn't necessarily have to pay back the $650,000 all at one time. We could continue the bond and then pay back 20%. Each year, and then the bond would be decreased as we pay it back, so cost of bond would go down.
Which is, I think is going to be more likely scenario right there.
We need a whole lot more information.
This was just to whet your appetite.
I understand, but I've already filled up my 2 pages. Anybody else have any other concerns? I can see a lot of concerns on faces as I sit here. Item number 5, Crooked Run West, request for water and sewer service, town manager.
Well, I've supplied council with a lot of information, and it's all basically for discussion at this point. It is my understanding last week Warren County Planning Commission denied it. But I don't, don't know what the status is thereafter. I guess it goes to the Board of Supervisors. But actually, we put this item on the agenda tonight to start the discussion about how we want to proceed as a town with the request, because we do have an official request now for supplying water and sewer out at the Cricket Run.
Before we go into any discussion, Mr. Silik, would you have anything you'd like to bring forth?
Yes, sir, if I may. Thank you for giving me a moment to discuss this. I know that right now the town and county has an agreement. They've just recently amended to include Crooked One West's property into that agreement, supply water and sewer to the commercial property located west of the creek, or Crooked Run. What we're really asking today is for you to amend that or agreement or whatever is necessary between you and the county, to provide residential water and sewer to the residential portion of that development. Now, part of the development is still going to be commercial. There's a commercial component to it. We're willing to work with, my client is willing to work with the town somehow to work out an agreement to provide this water and sewer to the residential portion. And if we have to work out an agreement besides the water and sewer tap fees and the regular payment fees, if we can maybe work out some general fund revenue for the town out of this project, we'd be willing to talk to the town attorney and town manager and council members on how we can accomplish that, to be able to have the town provide the water and sewer and treat these residential units as if they were in the town. And Mr. Murphy's here and will be happy to answer any questions at this point. Thank you. Mr. Seelot.
We did get a request from Mr. Stanley of the county asking to put it on liaison for this Thursday.
Is it on the agenda for
Yes, sir.
this Thursday? Who is representing us on Thursday?
Ms. Thompson.
Gonna be there? Okay, it is on the agenda then. So, discussion, Mr. T.
Well, again, I have a problem. We're talking about a loop. And we're looking at, I'm not sure the number, $7-8 million for a loop. I know Dominion Power has put up $3.5 million, whatever it was. And I don't think we can add any more to that system until we get that loop completely constructed. We're running every day the possibility of a water line break. And when that thing happens, it's going to drain everything out in the corridor, because there's no other accessibility except under 66 that goes out there. And, I'm just at the point, I looked at the settlement agreement, and the agreement was 40,000 gallons, period. And now we're looking at 100,000 plus, which I think is going to be a whole lot more plus than negative as far as the information I've received here. Not only that, we've already allocated 1,926 units in Front Royal that we've agreed to allow them to build in Front Royal. And if you equate that to gallons, that's almost 800,000 gallons a day that we've already committed to our system. Our system is we only have a 4 million gallon permit to draw water out of the river. And so when we get 2 million we've already got, and add 8 million more if that comes to reality, and that's 3.8 million, so that doesn't give us a whole lot of reserve. And going also back to the water plan, when it's got a capacity of 6 million, but it doesn't matter what the capacity is. If the DEQ won't give us a permit to withdraw, then it doesn't matter if it's got a 30 million gallon per day. So we're in a dilemma here, because if we've already approved, and most of these have been theoretically approved, that the 1,926 units have already been approved under quite a few things out there. We're already up to almost 3 million gallons a day. And then what they're asking for, using the numbers of 100 or per person per day, which is probably a little low, you're looking at another 1 million gallons probably overall. And we're going to agree to 40,000 under the settlement agreement. If y'all read that, you'll see that. And so at this point, until that loop is put in, I'm not entertaining even talking about it until that's completed. Unless some way or another, somebody can bring forth $3 or $4 million on the table to add to what we already have.
When is the loop discussion coming up?
May 6th.
May 6th.
So I want to learn more about the loop. I'm not sure, I understand the redundancy, but I'm not sure why that's necessary first, other than the redundancy, because we already have commercial properties out there. We even have some residential properties out there, right? Blue Ridge. Yeah, so we already have both out there. So I definitely understand the necessity of the loop. I just don't understand ceasing any further development out there until a loop's built. But you're mentioning all the other properties within the town that we've kind of committed to. Does DEQ change what our permit is contingent or dependent on the development around us? In other words, if all those houses were built,
I can't answer that. That's a question DEQ is going to have to answer, because I know when I was Public Works Director, we had a terrible time getting up to 4 million. And they just didn't want us to pull that much water out of the river. Because what they do, they take the mean flow of the water on the river, and then they tell you can pull X amount of gallons out of the river. And if the mean flow doesn't come to this point, then they tell you that's all you're going to get.
so
And that's the way the DEQ works.
I'm not familiar with all the sites, but I know a couple of them have been, zoned residential within town limits for a couple decades.
Well, here's a list of all of them.
And then none of them have been built. Right.
Well, no, but we're still committed, whether they're built or not.
My point is I would hate to. I would like to figure out a way to make it work. And the reason being is because I'm not going to hold on to all these other developments that supposedly are going to build but aren't building and haven't built for a very long time. And if there's something that's going to generate townhomes, apartments, and commercial shopping for us, then I'm interested in knowing how we can make that work. And we're in the water business, right?
I'm interested in making it work.
Right.
But I'm interested in making sure that we have water availability. And that's the critical part. Ever since we built that line out there, we've had that dilemma. And I can tell you that line, I put it in because I know how old it is. We put that in back in the low 80s, under 66. 80, 81, or 79, 80, or 81, I'm not sure which one of the years. Because when it was put in, they wouldn't allow us to go up a 10-inch feeder line under the 66. So you got a 12 going into a 10, and a 10 going back to a 12. That's what we're feeding that whole corridor with, all the way out to the Fairground Road. And you can't get more water out of a line than what the size of the line produces, and that's what you got to look at that, because if you overemphasize the line as far as usage, then everybody starves for water, and you can't do that. So if you commit this amount of water at this time without a redundancy, with a line that can pull out of another part of the town, then we have no redundancy. That line has got to come off another portion of this town system. And if you put them both in a parallel system, you're pulling off the same lines, you have no redundancy at all. So it's got to come from somewhere down on Happy Creek area, back across the river into somewhere, a connector point somewhere out to Dominion Power or somewhere in that area.
So our current line is not capable of putting that much water out in the corridor, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying it's not capable, I'm just saying it's not practical.
Well, he's bringing up a question that seems to need to be answered. I mean, what can we push through the single line that's out there now?
Well, we haven't done any analysis.
Well, I mean, that's what, because I'm looking at the data here, it says the plant has a capacity of 6 million, and I think it was the data you provided, the water plant is currently at 4 million, and the average daily volume, which for the plant is 2 million.
But
So there's,
But Bill, the 4 million is what the DEQ allow us to pull from the river home.
okay, all right, that's
That's
probably
where the 4
what
million is.
should be followed there, what DEQ.
It's what we're
has.
permitted to pull out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it, permitted, it's got it there, so we're at 2 million, and you're saying, 900 gallons, 900,000 gallons, so that's 2.9 or 3 million, the way you look at it.
Yep.
And so that puts us right at, it's at the 4 million. No, 2.3 million, so we got 1 million in our license. Permitted. But you gotta know what that single line going out there without the loop would do.
Well, I would imagine, doesn't CHS, is that the company?
CHA, we could do this, but right now, staff's taking the stance that the way the agreements are, it's only commercial out there. Until council tells us to proceed further, I'm not gonna spend any money on evaluating any other things out there until I know direction from council.
Okay, let's,
Sorry, I agree with staff's recommendation. The water problem is its own problem by itself, but we have other problems. The closest school is at Max, that's there. The next closest school, like LFK, is 4 students away from being at Max. We don't have schools for these people. Let's see what else. We can't retain the teachers we have now. So getting new teachers, building a new school, and buying new buses. And this whole thing goes completely against both the county comprehensive plan and the town comprehensive plan that you can find online. It's completely against what it's supposed to do. And commercial would at least bring in some jobs. But I don't see how we can accommodate 1,000 homes.
this is in addition to water.
Right, exactly, because it's more than just water. Like, I get to do water,
We were
but your
just
kids can't go to
discussing
school.
Water, I understand.
I know, but, you know, you gotta look at the big picture.
Anything else?
I agree, I want to stick to the agreement, commercial, and I'm not interested in providing water to residential in that area.
I feel the same way. This is gonna be, my biggest fear in this is once we say yes to this, we will never be able to say no to anything else through that board. If not, we will be in litigation. And that's my concern. It's more than just water.
Well, it's just, we were just discussing a water piece until you brought this up.
Yeah, I mean, it's an enterprise fund for a reason. We sell water, right? I think that there's ways to make it work. If we want to figure out how to sell water outside the corridor, then let's figure out how to do it. And if, you know, there's a few things that are about that are legitimate. So redundancy in the line, let's figure out how to, that's going to continue to be a bear for us. We know that there's a future out there. We know whether it's commercial development or residential development, we're going to have to figure this out. So I think that's a priority and something we should figure out. But it's an enterprise fund for a reason, and let's figure out how to sell the water and work through those agreements. I think, you know, it's which comes first, the cart or the horse on, you know, do you have more homes and student or family population in order to get more funding for bigger schools or new schools or whatever. I don't think it's, unless you're advocating to build a bigger school right now, we still have all these other homes that we're going to continue to build as well. So, I mean, within the town limits. So I'm not sure that would stop me from further development, but I think that if we're going to fall back and just say it's not in the comprehensive plan, then we're going to shut down any other kind of creative or future development out in the corridor. And I just think that's short-sighted. So I understand what all the other council members are saying tonight, but I feel like we should start figuring out how to be effective at our water business and not just kind of shut down opportunities that are arising. I think that's going to keep us back, you know, 20, 30, 40 years, and it's going to hurt us in the long run.
I also heard Mr. Silick say there's some other offers that he'd like to discuss with town staff, council, which I think we ought to listen. Any other discussion?
Well, yeah, I did some calculation today, our water in-town rates as far as water and sewer tap fees. I mean, right now, I heard Joe say they wanted in-town water rate fees. And, when you look at that, if you take the 1,025, that brings in approximately, if it's built out completely, you're looking at $5 million. Well, that's already been eaten up by the redundancy line that we're gonna have to build to go out there. The sewer connectors, another one, it's according to what these papers are, another 1,025, that would be 10 million and 10 million plus, if it goes to our in-town water rates. We just built a $45 million sewer treatment plant upgrade. And I'm sure that's gonna come back again soon with the pharmaceutical issue that we're going to get into, and that's going to be another probably $20 or $30 million that we're going to have to spend. So at this point, I just could not even, if we considered it, I would not even consider having in-town water rates. If they want to do it, and it comes to me, then we're going to have the double rates like we did on the other subdivisions out there. They pay the double water rates, the whole 9 yards. And so we got to look at what we got in front of what. We got to keep our customers satisfied. I don't have a problem with, if we had the money, if we had the water, I wouldn't have no problem giving approval to this. First thing, we don't have the money. Second thing, we don't have the water capacity. And the third thing is, we don't have the redundancy. And until we get all those three things together, then I think we're just putting ourselves deeper and deeper and deeper into a mess.
Don't more customers mean more money?
Yes, but it doesn't cover the cost when DEQ or the EPA comes in and says you got to expand your plant to build another $5, $6, $8 million addition.
Right.
And if we allow it, then we're bound at this time to do it.
So
The same way at the sewer treatment plant.
So how do you build the business model for our enterprise fund to be able to sell water at a rate that generates revenues that allows us for future growth? That's what I'm asking. Not capping us at a certain point and saying this is all we can serve. So this is all our community is going to grow to. This is all the houses we're going to allow to come in our town.
Well, again, it goes right back to what we just said earlier. We got a 4 million gallon permit draw permit. And if the DEQ says, no, we're not going to give you any more permitting for over 4 million, then we're dead in the water. We've already allocated money for the in-town people that's already
But I thought
in
this one took us up to 3 million, right? The draw took us up to 3 million.
Yeah, but you got to realize, you got to realize 2 or 3 things here. You got a water plant can only produce, like I said, it can produce 6 million according to what the engineer said. We got a permit for 4. If you have a major water line out there, break out there, you might lose 4 or 5 million gallons before you ever even get the water cut off.
Right, the redundancy I get, but everybody's already at risk of that, right? Everybody out there's already at risk.
But I'm not going to take another risk at this point to add another 1,000 homes there and another 2,000 in front of Royal and put all the whole town's system into a quandary in order to be able to provide water for this new development. If we get the redundancy line in and we see things are progressing, then I would consider maybe that.
Well,
Not at this point.
I get the redundancy thing, but you're going to make that stance, besides it's, even though it's residential, you're going to make that stance even if it's commercial property.
No, we already allocated 40,000 gallons to the commercial area already. That's in our settlement agreement.
But are you concerned that there's no redundancy and that whatever is built out there is going to be at risk?
Well, everything's a risk, I know. But I don't want to add more risk out there. That's my stance. That's why I keep saying this. When we did the settlement agreement, we knew that Cruise One West, they came in before and wanted to put in the commercial, which was fine. And that's going to help everybody. But I'm like Letitia, when you start putting 1,000 homes out there, you're going to have elementary, you're going to have high school and middle schools. And right now, we're so far in debt now with the county don't know where their money coming from either. That's why we got a 6% increase.
That's what kills me about this. Homes and commercial properties generate more revenue.
No, it generates a lot more demand on our system.
Yeah, which is offset by customers paying their bills.
It doesn't offset it though, Jake, that's the problem. It doesn't offset it. If we get $4 million or $10 million in revenue for water and sewer taps, and then we gotta build a $5 million more capacity at the water plant or the sewer plant, where is the money? It's not there.
And we don't get taxes from them either.
You know,
Well, no, I mean, so the revenue side of things, I think is all contingent on how you build the agreement, how you create the bid.
I just don't see where we have the capability to deal with that many homes, that many people, that much traffic, that much everything right now, right there. And it's all gonna be commuters, and I've heard nothing about it being even remotely affordable, though it's an expensive builder that's doing it from what I understand. So,
That's
I
all
mean, I just
speculation.
don't have any.
If we allow them to do that,
nothing,
then we won't be able to control that growth out there. They'll be controlled, county will be controlled.
Right.
So if they want water and sewer out, or if they want water out there, in town rates, then we can do a boundary adjustment, provide them water, and then we'll control the growth ourselves.
but the problem is, we got a 25-year moratorium on that, under the settlement agreement at this point.
But I also heard Mr.
Yeah.
Sally make the stand that he would, the owner is willing to look to some fees that would provide dollars for our general fund versus our water fund.
Where are we gonna get the money for redundancy line?
I don't know. It's a good question.
It's a big question.
We got $3 million
It's-
that's coming from Old Dominion.
It's only gonna come from development in the corridor because people in the town don't care, or I should say don't care, but aren't gonna wanna foot the bill for that. So it's only gonna come from development in that direction.
See, the problem is, there's not a home built out there yet. So who's gonna pay for the redundancy line? People in Front Royal, right now.
If we
Those
go
houses-
today, yeah.
Well, that's the problem. The town of Front Royal citizens built the water plant, the sewer plant, and they're the ones that's paying for that. Until they're built out there, and then we're gonna lose money every year in a system that, you know, we have no control over, basically, if we allow these things. I mean, what's gonna save, just like Chris said, what's gonna save down the road, right on the left side, they don't want to develop that into residential. Then where are we at? We don't have.
There's no other action that, I mean, we've discussed the water, we've discussed the miscellaneous items, you know, we've battered it back and forth. And you're not looking for any action tonight, you just wanted to have some general discussion going into the liaison meeting on Thursday, is that correct?
Well, that's true, yeah. Like I said, though, we have received an official request, so we do need to respond eventually on what
So what is the request asking for?
It's asking for a change to serve commercial and residential in that area.
So you haven't got an answer to what you need to know to respond?
And I'm not sure, Doug, what do you think would be the first, I mean, because to even consider it, you would have to change the,
Change the agreement.
Yeah, you'd have to change the agreement. And frankly, I think until the Board of Supervisors makes a binding determination, I don't think we really need to respond at all, because right now it's,
what I
from the
think.
county standpoint, the planning commission recommended disapproval, so unless the Board of Supervisors overrules them, I'd say the county shot it down.
You got a liaison meeting on Thursday, you're gonna discuss it even further. So when is your action due date?
at this point, we really weren't looking for any action tonight. We were putting it up so that council could start the discussion, because we do have and when I put it on the agenda, actually, the planning commission meeting hadn't happened, so I didn't know what the result of that meeting was going to be, so. But it's good for us to start this conversation now, because obviously it's going to take some time.
So what I hear is we don't really need to take action at this time. So we've had good enough discussion to kind of get a flavor for what's going on.
We, the $3 million from Dominion on the redundancy line, do we have a total cost of what that would be to create that line?
No, hopefully on May 6th, we'll have an idea and a direction
Oh,
of where
sorry,
that
you
line will be and
mentioned
the total cost. As right now, as it stands, the total commitment from Dominion is $3.5 million total. And that's if it was a 5.5 million build out, which we expect is going to be a lot higher if we do a true loop cross country.
Does our enterprise fund for water generate positive revenues?
It generates revenues enough to sustain infrastructure improvements and stuff. It's as you know, all our enterprise funds are run zero base, no profits, and if there are a little bit of profits, they go right back into it.
Because we reinvest back in infrastructure.
We reinvest back into infrastructure.
Is it a big deal to get a number for what the full flow through that single line going out would be?
No, I could, I could find out what the limitations are.
See what our limitations are. Is that a big deal?
There's a formula that I don't have it with me, I'm sure I can find it at home. There's a formula on the 10-inch, the water line, what that capacity to flow through that system. I mean, our engineers should be able to get.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we might want that information. Is that agreeable with you all? May I go on with the rest of the agenda, or do you want to discuss it
Let's talk
further?
about this a little longer.
You just want to test me tonight.
We want to make it harder for you.
Mr. Seiler, if, I think we're done. If you got,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Item number 6, extension of due date for personal property and real estate tax bills. Director of Finance, BJ?
We're going to be requesting town council to approve a resolution to extend the due date of our personal property and real estate tax bills. We're not going to receive the necessary books from Warren County Commissioner of Revenue's office in time to meet the due date. Warren County was required to re-advertise their tax rates. They're going to be setting their tax rates on May 7th. We're looking to get the books probably the following week, and then we'll need time to process them ourselves. So most likely we'll be coming back with a resolution to extend the due date to June 21st.
Chris voted for a year.
A year?
I don't think I agree with that.
Might have a little bit of a revenue shortfall in that case.
I don't think there's nothing you can do, right? You gotta
Right.
That's the only choice we've got, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the only choice. It's in our code specifically stating the due date. So that's why we have to go through this resolution and everything,
Yeah.
because the code is so specific.
So the action date is the next meeting?
No, it won't be, I prefer to do until after Warren County votes on their tax rate to make sure that we have a good day.
That's somewhere around May
May
12th.
13th, most likely, May
Have
12th.
another hearing at the end of the month?
I'm not quite sure. May 7th is
Vote the following?
May 7th, I think, is the next one, and then
Yeah.
vote the following, yeah.
Is there any other issues?
Does that have to be a resolution?
Yes, it has to be a resolution because it
Because
is an
we're
ordinance.
changing the date.
Right, and what BJ was stating is that resolution will be on your May 13th meeting, because we want to wait, make sure we got the right date set before we set it. So.
Does everybody understand? Questions? All right, let's move on down.
BJ gets the easiest one tonight.
Right?
You might as well stand up there, BJ.
Budget discussion, BJ.
Oh, just kidding, BJ.
Oh.
Why'd you sit down?
He forgot what number 7 was.
BJ put together an excellent talking point sheet, I call it, on how we can finance the PD and what are some of the options that we can consider on the financing. And so,
Correct.
you got a copy of that,
Is it,
Yeah, I got extra copy.
I got
is that email?
I need that.
Yeah, that was emailed.
Was it emailed today?
No, last week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay, yeah, I have seen that.
I know I was sending out a little bit more.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, I got it here.
Nothing wrong with information.
You want to walk us through it, BJ?
Yeah, sure. So, basically at the top there, these are figures based on financing $10 million, 20 and 30 3-year terms. It is the same terms that we had proposed a few months ago. The interest rates have been fluctuating. Again, still an estimated amount of $10 million. We should hopefully come in a little lower than that. Interest rate, I don't know exactly where that's going to end up. So 20-30 year, 20-year being $691,548 annual payment. 30-year, $563,822 annual payment. So here at the bottom, I show our current allocation for fiscal year 19 was $242,500. The reassessment at the 13.5 cents real estate tax rate is $183,445, bringing total current allocation to $425,945. We are expecting $42,000 reallocation for fiscal year 20 that we can do for savings on general liability insurance, our automobile insurance, just like I say, general liability insurance there. If we were to reallocate the money for the West Main connector, that does show $84,000 due to the bond money that we'll considering carrying forward. If we were to reallocate, brings the subtotal to $551,945. That should be very close to being able to cover the 30-year term, if not a little more. Looking down here, if we were to reallocate the internal loan for Town Hall of $150,000, that would require us paying off the loan here for Town Hall out of fund balance, which is $450,000. And bringing our general fund reserves pretty much down to the 3-month level. We wouldn't have anything going to the OPEB allocation. Then fiscal year 20 reallocation of property maintenance, if we were to do that, $38,500, brings us to a total of $740,445. Went over a lot there. In a nutshell. Sorry, Mr. Joe.
PJ, the problem that I see here is, are these numbers are not sustainable? That's just for 1 year.
Well, if we were to pay off the internal loan for Town Hall with fund balance, that $150,000 would be moving forward.
But that would continue on for another 20 years or whatever. That would come out of the general fund.
Well, no, it wouldn't come out of the
Well, I mean, you don't want to name it. It's got to come out of the budget, put that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you got another one here on the property maintenance code. You got $38,500. We do the 20 year. Again, how much of that money is sustainable for 21, 22, 23? It's got to be it's got to continue to be put in the budget in the same amount that we're taking out.
That's
So
correct.
going back to the top one up there, the 48,400. How much are we putting in there every year on the connector road, West Main connector? Is that a 90 years sustainable? I mean, a $90,000 a year sustainable?
Well, it's what we're spending today.
Right.
So in theory, if you take out all these names, it's what we're spending today. We could be spending it tomorrow. We have that money to spend tomorrow.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about tomorrow, I'm worried about the future. Because if you can't sustain these numbers, you can't sustain the 42,000, the 84,000, to give you the $551,000. That wouldn't even cover the 30-year loan. I mean, it would cover the 30-year loan almost. And then when you go down to the next one, the town 150,000 and the 38,000, are they sustainable in our budget from year after 20 and 21 and on down through the period?
It gets us through fiscal year 20. Moving forward, I can't make any guarantees, obviously. I don't know what the future holds, but, we would take the money. For instance, like I say, with a loan that we would have allocated for 21, 22, 23, it would then be allocated to this for at least for the next 3 years.
The only thing that's on this list that we need to point out is the savings on the general liability insurance. That is a one and done. That's only this year.
1 year.
Yeah. The other items, in my opinion, are sustainable because we're already operating under a certain tax rate. And we would continue that effort moving forward. That's always would be my directive. So,
The only one that's on here is the 42K. That's for general liability insurance. The rest of them are going forward on budget.
42 is a window that you can work in a budget somewhere every year.
But we as a council have said we don't want to go in and say you can have a truck, but you can't have a transformer. Or,
No, I'm saying that if we agree to a certain loan, it is what it is. You're moving forward on it for 20 years, and then town staff just,
I'm not disagreeing, I'm agreeing.
Well, what is your recommendation, Joe? Gets back to you. What is your recommendation? The 20-year or the 30-year? If this thing is sustainable, as you say it is, except for 42,000, then it can be kind of redundant not to go ahead and go with the 20-year loan.
Well, my first recommendation is I think we ought to get rid of the internal loan for this building. My first recommendation is we need to do that. That's 150. That's over a penny in tax.
Yeah.
Tax.
Right, I understand.
And, you know, it's going to take our reserves down to 3 months, but that's all we need is 3 months. I mean, right now, you know, the money's needed in other places. 20 or 30 year, it's all depends on what council's flavors and what we want to give up. If we're going to go with a 20-year term, we may have to delay property maintenance. The one thing, my biggest concern with property maintenance right now is just 38.5, it's not going to support it anyway. So we're going to need more money for that program. So that's one of my big concerns going into it. But I think, first of all, I think we've got to reallocate that 150, which then we definitely do a 30-year and find out what's council's appetite for doing a 20-year.
Well, if we go with the 30-year, and hopefully it's maybe somewhere along the line we come in with a big, somebody wills us a pile of money or something, then if can we pay down that note earlier than the 30-year?
Not on the 30-year note.
It's a 30-year.
If we go with the
Not
VRA,
payable.
tax exempt, we have 10 years you cannot pay it off early.
After the 10 years you can't?
After 10 years you can.
you can put funds aside to pay off after 10 years.
Yeah,
You
sure.
You cannot with a tax exempt bond.
You can't put budget line item aside to pay off that at the end of 10 years.
Correct. You cannot do it with the tax exempt bond. They don't allow it. It's one of the mandates.
That what, you can't use savings to pay it off after?
We couldn't have a piggy bank 10 years later to decide.
We're not allowed with VRA pool financing. They don't allow that because it's federal. It's backed by federal.
We'll call it something else then.
Well.
Yeah, just like, how can you control that? Well, we're gonna call it property maintenance and then move it over.
We can't budget it as being paid off early. After the 10 years is up, we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying budget to pay
Well,
it.
we can't budget like, if we're gonna try to amortize it on a 20-year cycle of our own, we can't budget for, let's say if the payment's $500,000, we can't budget $700,000. But after 10 years, we can.
If we had a magical surplus, then we could, okay.
Well, what he's saying, do I understand correctly, that after 10 years, we could pay it down?
Correct.
Yes.
So that's a plus. That would meet all the demands that I've been hearing across the board for weeks now.
I mean, the risk is future council decides that's not what they want to do.
Right.
So, but I still go back to, as much as I would love to do a 20-year, it's a lot of money for us to get to. We don't have that big a budget. If I'm voted down on that one, that's fine. But Joe, I really like the idea of paying down town hall. I just think it's interesting. Just point out that we're being aggressive on a 20-year loan for a police station, but we have a lot of other items that we finance over 10 years or longer, and it doesn't seem to bother us on the interest payments. And so I think that, looking at this like a home mortgage 30-year, it's perfectly reasonable. We built this police station that's supposed to last us 40 years and longer. I think that's a reasonable ask here. I don't care, my personal opinion is, I don't care what you do with any and all of this. I would just say that if it does go the 20-year route and or the 30-year route, if there is any money still left, I would prefer that money stay in the property maintenance because I'm not ready to kill it from defunding it. But if council shot for the 20, you had to use that, then I understand what you're doing, if that makes sense, Joe.
What concerns me is 2 work sessions ago, we were all on board to reallocate the 90K, which assume we are here tonight. Also, we brought up that, you know, we had to make a decision on 20 years or 30 years. Here we are back again. We just met and we all talked about 30 years. Now, you've got some outs tonight, the way I'm looking at it. You pay down 150K. We have to give these people some direction. And we ought to do that tonight. I've been an
Are you
advocate.
taking
in
a straw
that.
poll of 30 or 20? That's really the direction, right? Are we gonna lock in at the 30 or are we gonna lock in at the 20? 'Cause Joe has a
Well, they
plan.
just gave us an out with the 30-year. After 10, if the funds are accessible, then we pay down.
Never gonna happen.
If you want a staff recommendation, we recommend 30.
Okay, say it again. What do you recommend?
Staff recommends 30, wouldn't you, BJ?
Yes, I agree.
I'm in. Well, you should have said that to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, I
Come
mean,
on, Joe.
but we were trying to listen to what council wanted,
Right.
and it's kind of been back and forth on the 20 and the 30, so we were taking a stance of waiting.
That was my suggestion as well.
I mean, I'd like to see the 20, but I think 30 is more.
And I would prefer to keep the property maintenance intact as well.
Well, it looks like we should more than get there if we're gonna do the 30. I mean, assuming a major flux.
Let's reach some agreement tonight so we can give them, because we are right at the deadline now on this loan,
30 years.
30 years, sir.
30 years.
30 years.
You keep property
Okay,
maintenance.
Joe, what else you need? The 90K is reallocated?
Well, if,
Well, what my suggestion would be is to pass the budget as approved, and then once we get hard figures on this, we'll come back with the necessary budget.
I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Sounds
All right.
it's the cleanest way, actually. to
Yes.
get it done.
That gives you clear direction right now.
We've got direction. Yes, sir.
With the 30-year financing, we will have to wait for the summer pool. The other thing that we're waiting on is payoffs from the EDA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Working out.
you have enough info?
Yeah, we're good.
BJ, would you email me your?
Perfect. Oh, yes,
Just
ma'am.
gonna celebrate when we lock in on that loan.
She needs
I have time.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, moving into council, mayor related items. VML Policy Committee nominations. We got replacements, Mr. Conley and Mr. Morrison on top. Joe, you want to take that? What do we want to do?
On,
Mark, you want?
No, I don't want environmental. I want the community.
We need
economic
volunteers?
development one.
I'm already on environmental.
No, I don't really want that.
Oh, you
He
don't
was
want that?
joking.
We got to replace Mr. Conley and
Oh, I
Mr.
thought you were
Morrison.
saying
Yeah,
that.
Do we want to keep community and economic development, Mr. Gillespie?
Yeah, he's not here, so yes.
No, I get
No, him.
Oh.
Him on it.
He's already,
You're also on that committee. Are
Oh, you want that?
staying
You're
there?
it.
saying
I want
want
to be on the community.
Oh.
it's one of mine.
You're on community and economic development, but Ms. Thompson noted that she would like to be on that. Would you like to give that to her, or would you like to remain there?
Well, I'm doing safety, which is not, well, that's not a VML. If she would prefer to do that,
I prefer that one. If I could,
I don't want regional.
I know.
No,
I've got that
this is
too.
BML.
This is BML.
All right. Yes, if she'd
I
like
got
to
your
do
regional
that.
one too.
So, Mr. Gillespie, we have you in community and economic development with BML. You would like to stay there? Okay. So the next one is environmental quality, Mr. Waltz, and we have a volunteer. Mr. Holloway.
Thank you.
Would you like to be on that?
Sure.
Unless we have another volunteer. And finance committee was Mr. Wilson, of course.
I'll stick with it.
Okay. And general laws, Mr. Napier, of course. And do we have a volunteer?
I'll do it.
I thought you were just
You
on
only have one.
environmental.
You already
You
have
only
one.
have
I
one.
changed my mind. We only have one. Well, technically there's an
We only have one.
Okay, what else is left?
Would you like general laws?
All right, I'll go to law.
Okay.
I'll stay on transportation.
Okay.
All right, you
Anyone
got
like to serve? Do we have anybody left?
No.
Well, there is a
we're good.
transportation, technically, Halsey's in
now.
here, so you can take that one.
And then, I'll get one.
We got them all covered now?
We do, we can leave that other one, yes, we're good to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Discussion of outside legal counsel, Mr. Mesa.
Yes, so
Please.
I thought it'd be worth, I don't know if Paul's gave you an update on this, Doug, as well, prior to putting it on there. But I have mentioned this a few times in closed session, a few times in open session, but since we have continual back and forth with the EDA, I wanted to come straight out with an ask that I believe that we should seek potential outside counsel to help us navigate what is going to be probably one of the larger suits, one of the larger court cases that we're going to deal with related to the EDA. Actually, the case in point is what we just came across tonight with funds that we may or may not have with the, or having to pay back because of the grant that we got. That's just one example. Whether or not there's going to be criminal charges versus a civil case, who's going to be in line. I just think that this almost could be a full-time job to stay in front of, and I wanted to, for lack of better words, follow the county's example of seeking outside counsel from Richmond to help them navigate these waters and look at doing the same, to have somebody collaborate with Doug and help evaluate our strategy and our plan for responding to what's coming out of the EDA. Be the first to preface, I mean, zero disrespect to our town attorney. I'm offering this as a solution to help support, again, what I think is going to be the biggest thing that this town faces, and make sure that we're fully covered and all of our options are evaluated.
Mr. Gillespie.
Doug, at this time, do you feel you need help with this, sir?
At this time, no. I mean, I can't predict what the future's going to bring. But I feel like I need it, I'd certainly ask for it. But I just don't have any idea of right now what's going to happen.
Does VML assistance come into play if we do go to some kind of criminal?
If it goes criminal, no. That would strictly be up to the Commonwealth.
Okay.
But certainly I have had their risk manager reach out to VML, and they're fully briefed on what's going on. And if they have any assistance to offer, they will.
I just brought that up to make sure we understand that might be in some of the option too. Any other discussion? Any other concerns?
I'm concerned on this due to the fact that where's the money coming from to pay for an outside attorney?
I don't think you got $750,000. That's what
I just don't think it's feasible at this point. We don't have any idea what we owe them, and they don't have any idea what they owe us.
Well, that's
if they do, they haven't told us.
That's part of the reason I don't know what to tell you as far as do we want outside counsel, because we don't even have a clue where we stand. I'm meeting tomorrow with John Anzavino and Dan Whitten to go over this FOIA request that we filed. We're going to try to work out materials that they will give us. They seem to be in a cooperative mode, and hopefully they will be. And hopefully we can at least preliminarily piggyback on what they've got. I know that we will be getting information from law enforcement. Hopefully we will be getting a lot of detailed information, and then we can make a better, more informed decision as to what we do need or may not need. But right now, we're just shooting in the dark.
And we also don't know what we're at risk of losing, right? Because that's the thing, and that's why I'm pointing this out. So you talk about the cost of outside counsel, but we don't even know. So $650,000 is the first number that we see that, hey, we're potentially at risk at that. We don't know what other areas we're at risk or liable for all the properties that the EDA has, or anything along those lines. We don't even know. So I feel like the county has a particular advantage. Not saying that that's something that's being used over us, but has a particular advantage. They know everything from that audit, the forensic audit. Yes, they did spend the money to get outside counsel, but I'm willing to bet they did that for a very specific reason, knowing where this was going to go. And we're the ones who initiated all this from the get-go, and here we are still sitting here being like, let's wait and see. Wait for what? That's the part I'm having a problem with.
I think we need to see what's in that audit. I mean,
Or is that what we're working for?
I think we need to wait and see what Doug comes back with.
That's
I mean,
my, you know, we've been asking for this now since,
I know, but we've
when,
been saying that
August?
for 6 months.
But we can't, they gotta show it to us. I mean,
They're not
like
going
Doug
to,
said,
though.
we have no clue.
But they're not going to. That's all right. So we'll wait again. But I'll just make the statement, and we'll come back again. We'll say, let's
Just
wait till
keep
they see
your-
the rest of it.
keep your approach moving, Mr. Gillespie.
Doug, I had mentioned this before. I mean, is there any way we can file a lawsuit and just put it on hold again? I know we talked about that.
Yes, it is my position that we have an absolute legal right to see that for two reasons. Number one, there's a lot of case law which establishes that the EDA acted as our financial agent. They are our fiduciary. We have the absolute legal right to see it. Secondly, town taxpayers or county taxpayers, we've already paid for it. We don't have to pay twice. So we have as much right to see it as the county.
But with respect, Doug, they have an attorney that sees it differently than you, and they're holding it.
He hasn't stated that.
So we're waiting for him to state that then? Waiting for the county to state
No,
that?
they contacted me and want to meet with me to go over about the release of it.
All right. I mean, if they release everything to you, that's great. I'm just highly doubtful that that's going to be the case.
Well, we'll see.
Mr. Gillespie.
That's why we have a point.
Again, I would like to request that we put on the agenda a filing lawsuit for this.
I have no problem at all filing a lawsuit.
But we can't file a lawsuit if we don't know what we're filing a lawsuit for.
Well, we can put it on hold, the way I'm thinking. Because right now,
So that's
we're
a
at-
legal strategy that
We're at, we don't know where the statutes of limitations are gonna be on this for a lot of this stuff. That's
Well,
what
you
I'm
do know.
worried about.
He's given us that.
Well,
We got to what, May of next year?
we're not sure. That would be my hope, but my suggestion is the 5-day FOIA deadline runs out Friday. My suggestion is if we don't get the information we're seeking, we go ahead and file suit.
File suit to get the
Get
information.
the forensic audit.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes,
Forensic audit.
yes.
Okay, now it's clear. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yeah.
I don't know. So you file a suit to get the forensic audit, whatever, more months go by, still don't know what's in it. Meanwhile, there's still a civil suit going, and the county has a very clear idea of what they want, or what their outcome is, and we don't, because we're in the dark. So that's my whole concern. I don't think we have a very developed strategy on how to go about this.
Well, that's, no matter who your lawyer is, that's what you're gonna have to do is file suit.
Well, so what are we
There's no other
going
way
to
to
get?
do it.
What are we going to get if we hire outside counsel? So what are they going to do?
File suit.
We don't know that.
Okay, let's get to chase
That's what I'm
here.
saying.
How many are in favor of seeking outside counsel at this point in time?
It's okay, I'll bring it up again next time. So.
All right, I don't see anybody raise their hand, so. All right, you got something, Joe?
May I interject?
Let me get Joe in here and then I'll come back.
The only thing I can say is, and not to, just to talk about what Doug said, is there seems to be, and I don't know, I don't want to speak for Doug, but it was encouraging for them to contact Doug and want to interface about that FOIA request in the audit. When you agree, Doug, I mean, that was, to me, we may get something. And So I'm optimistic at this point because of that phone call.
And the acting director of the EDA has made statements to us in council that he is for giving us information. And that's, looks like to me this might be one of the first steps. Mr. T-Wall.
No, I'll retract it. I didn't say that.
You're making my job easy. Okay, we're gonna move on to closed meeting. We have 2 items on the closed meeting. Okay, who's gonna read?
Mr. Vice Mayor, I move that council convene and go into closed meeting for the purpose of consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters, specifically modification or renegotiation of the contractual provisions of FDR Services Corporation of Virginia, Incorporated, requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel pursuant to section 2.2-3711.A.8 of the Code of Virginia. And I also, number 2, I move the council convene and go into closed meeting for the purpose of consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters, requiring provisions of legal advice by such counsel, specifically procedures, powers, and limitations of members of town council at regular meetings, work sessions, and otherwise given the temporary absence of the mayor pursuant to section 2.2-3711.A.8 of the Code of Virginia.
Second.
Those in favor?
Yes.
No. Have I got anybody in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, take a 5-minute break.
Yay.
Who?